Hey guys! So, today we are going to talk about that software is about more than code. So let's get into it. Now you have to excuse me a little bit. I am actually slightly intoxicated. I don't know, it's just been one of those days that I need a little bit of a pick-me-up before I went on my walk. And you should check that out, because you might actually, a lot of sometimes the videos that I make, I'm a little bit extra happy in those videos. Maybe you can spot them, I don't know. But anywho, with this good mood that I'm in and this buzz that I have going on, I want to talk about something that I read just the other day actually, and I thought it was such a great. It was a little bit harsh, maybe. I mean, let's give you some context. So, I was reading the Quora Digest questions that I receive in my little inbox, and there was this student who had asked this, well, kind of interesting question. He had stated that he was getting straight A's in computer science, but his teacher had told him that he should probably not go into computer science or into software development. And he was curious as to why would his teacher say something like that when he's getting straight A's in the subjects. And there was a response from a man who claims to have been working in software for over 30 years. And I think that the gist of it was that this person was gave a list basically of things that are important, or equally important to having just hard coding skills, and not a single one of these things are related to the actual writing of the code itself. Now, who do we know who has been jabbering on endlessly about this idea that maybe hard coding skills and your raw computer science questions and so forth, that does matter to a point, but the actual software development is about so much more than simply writing something that somebody's telling you to write. Well, I know someone like that. I can't remember his name now, but I've heard him say it a few times. And so I thought I will give you a little bit of a refresher and some thoughts on this subject. You see, guys, this student is most likely in the sort of situation, if we just assume for the sake of argument that this is the context, that this person is actually doing what I think is happening, because I've seen it many times before. I have friends who are geniuses, like they're smarter than I will ever be. I will never get to a point like you. I have a friend of mine, his wife is a chemist. She used to work for the military, and she's a full-fledged chemist, licensed, and has a fancier degree than I will ever have. She has read more books than I probably have had bathroom breaks. But what's interesting about her is that she is struggling quite a bit to find any type of meaningful work, getting employment, or even keeping a job. And the reason why she is struggling is because although she is extremely book smart, she does not possess that part of well, whatever you want to call it. She does not possess the necessary skills to work effectively in the environment of her choosing, or where she is supposed to be. She fit very well in at one of her previous jobs back in the States, because when you're working in the military, the standards are a little bit, well, the private sector requires a little bit more of you socially. And a few other things as well. But you see, in the context of programming, it's very much the same thing. It actually doesn't matter if you are the most genius programmer who can write the most flawless, perfect software. If you lack social skills, if you lack the ability to problem solve, if you have to be led by the hand and have everything prepared for you, then you will not be an effective software developer, because software is about so much more than simple coding skills. Like learning how to actually solve problems through software, that's the easy part. That's just the start. That's why I'm trying to make this channel, guys. This is why I try to tell you that most of the software videos you see on the internet, they are just teaching you the bare bone basics. This is not software development. It's the first step. It's just the first step. There's 100 or like thousands of these tutorials that will teach you how to set up a React application, for example, or a Java project, etc., and do some basic routing and some basic validation. This is the basics, guys. It gets so much trickier once you pass that hump, and that's what I hope at least people who find this channel have started to realize, because those are the people I want to help out. I want to be that guy who gives you the next step. I want to show you what it actually means to be a software developer. I want to show you the sort of challenges and the sort of issues that you're going to face in real software development. There's hundreds and thousands of people who will teach you what a variable is, or what I don't know, how to use Angular or Vue, like these basic, small, like simple concepts. That's not so interesting, because as the student is starting to realize, or most likely what his teacher has realized about him as he's going through his education, is that he does not show, at least I don't know if it's too early to say something like that. I think it's a little bit harsh for a teacher to say something like that, maybe. But I'm not in that context, so I don't know what the situation is. All I can say is that if what's happening is what I think is happening, the student is most likely very good at being told exactly what to do, and most likely very good at being book smart. But software development is not about being book smart. It's about being intelligent, being able to figure out complicated problems, because complicated problems is what you're going to face. You are not going to be in a simulated environment where the people who you work for are going to tell you exactly how to do something. That's up to you to figure out. That's the thing that's tricky about software development. Most of the time, you are the expert. You're the person that has to use your mind to figure out the solution. Think of it this way. Most people go to school studying topics and digesting information that other smarter people than them have written in a book. And all they do is they consume these answers that other people have thought out for them. Software development does not work that way, guys. You are the person writing the book. There are people who will guide you and give you examples, and then it's up to you to figure out what's useful information to kind of derive what you can apply to your situation, and use your own mind to write the book. That's much more on the money. Even though you write and build the exact same thing as somebody else, you're still doing it just for you, for the most part. You're still most likely not going to be in the exact same type of situation as somebody else. That's why every project is a little bit different. And that is the true challenge of software development. Writing the code, figuring out or studying a named algorithm like Memoize or the greedy algorithm, or even more advanced things like that, that's easy. That's so easy. Real software development is much more complicated than that. So, where is all of this little ranting of mine leading? Well, it's leading up to something that I want you to kind of ask yourself. Because it's the thing that's going to determine whether or not you're going to make a good software developer. It is not your ability to do complicated mathematics. It's not your ability to be like the smartest person or the fastest learner or the quickest problem solver, etc., etc. It is going to be your ability to adapt to a changing environment, and how good you are at understanding complicated problems and learning enough so that you can apply, and learning how to apply the knowledge that you acquire in new ways to solve the problem at hand. It's not about being the best at creating the perfect solution for every situation. It is about being able to, in a fairly chaotic environment, see the red threads, see all the connections, and figure out a way to solve the problem at hand. That's what it's about. Because trust me, the school is the easy part, guys. That's where you just learn the basics. But the real software that you're going to write is never as easy and as cookie cutter as what you're facing in school. And my guess is that this teacher has identified that in the student, that the student might be very good at being told exactly what to do and how to do it, and memorize what's being taught to that person in a book. But if you can only solve problems that fit perfectly into something that you read, you will not make a good software developer. I'll give you a great example that kind of illustrates what I'm after. One of my favorite libraries is Redux for front-end development. Now, Redux, and this is, I'm not saying that a junior needs to know this, because this takes a little bit of a while of experience, but I've used Redux for so long, and I understand the theory behind Redux so well, that I can actually, without knowing the source code, build it myself, because I understand how it works. That's what you're going for. If you can, in the scenario I'm describing, the student in this little story of mine, or the story that I read, is the sort of person most likely who can only solve the problem if the problem perfectly fits into Redux. But if the problem that person was facing was a little bit different from what's possible to do with, say, this tool or this Redux thing, they don't possess the mental capacity to see that, all right, I can do my own thing, extend that a little bit, and then it's going to work. Do you see like the difference? Because there's a difference between only being able to solve a problem if it perfectly fits what you've already studied. That's being book smart. Being book smart means that you need to have a problem that perfectly match what you've read. But being intelligent, being a problem solver, is about seeing the pattern. That's what you're going for. That's what's going to make you a great software developer. Being able to look at different problems and different scenarios and build up a database, if you will, of different similar situations, and derive the meaningful, the red thread from all of these patterns, and figuring out a new solution that fits the new problem that you're facing. Because if you can only solve problems that perfectly fit what's written in the textbook, you will not make a good software developer, most likely. And then you have things such as social skills and all other kinds of stuff that you have to deal with. So what I want you to take away from this is that even if you're not getting the highest grades as a software developer, even if you're not the best student there, even if there are people there who can answer correctly on every single test, yes, that is an indication perhaps of skill. But at the end of the day, the best way for you to figure out whether or not you're going to make a good software developer is when you get the personal project. That's at least how I think about it. The personal project, in other words, it doesn't matter how correctly you answer on the test questions if you can't build the thing that you're supposed to be building. That's the end goal. Memorizing everything in a textbook is not the end goal. That's just a way for you to build good software. If you don't have the sort of mind that works well with just memorizing a bunch of information, that may not be the end of the road for you. Because at the end of the day, what matters is your ability to produce working software. That's why the personal project is more interesting. Because if you can build working functional software, that's much more valuable than you memorizing every algorithm that's in a computer science book. Have a great day.